what I do value so damn much is that power persona that my 25-year-old self had. And so a big tool for me in overcoming self-doubt is adopting a power persona. I really want you to look at your self-doubt and be aware of it, but detach the emotion from it and not succumb to it. Self-doubt is really just a sign of your growth. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Wellness Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Amber Shaw. Thank you, as always, for joining me today. So today I want to talk about a topic that I personally have struggled with for quite some time in most of my life. And it's something that I see come up a lot for women who are in midlife. And this is how to overcome self-doubt. You know, it's really interesting, as we age, you would think that like with the older that we get, that we would doubt ourselves less, right? Because we have more life experience, we have, our capabilities have grown and all of that, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like as we age, for so many women, really self-doubt starts to get worse. And I think that's for a number of factors. I think that, culturally, I think that we're also always trying to, turn back the clock of aging. I think that, always like the newer, better, faster, stronger, kind of that, all that messaging is constantly bombarding us. But I think there's something really beautiful to be said about just, the wisdom and the knowledge that we gain as we enter into midlife. I know for me, it's been one of my most favorite things about being in my 40s, but it wasn't always like this for me. And so today in this episode, I want to really dive into self-doubt and what we can overdo to overcome it, and share with you a few of the things that I've implemented into my own life to overcome this self-doubt. And so I want to first tell you, one of the things I think, and I spoke about this before on this show, but I think that sometimes it can be really easy when you see somebody on social media and maybe they have a big platform, or maybe they're, somebody like me who's used to being on camera and I do videos and I'm on social media and, that my confidence is just like through the roof and I have no self-doubt and all the things, right? And I gotta tell you, like that couldn't be further from the truth. And I can tell you that if most like creators and people who are in the spotlight, I bet you most of them, if they were being completely honest, they would say that they too struggle with a lot of self-doubt. I know for me, how that has like shown up for me in the past is through imposter syndrome. And so when I was first starting this business, almost 5 years ago, you talk about self-doubt. I was like turning 40, in the middle of a divorce or like, wrapping up a divorce, going through a divorce, all the things. My relationship to myself was just really like in the dumps because my self-worth was so low from just all the trauma that I went through in my divorce. And, here I was really wanting to like break free of this identity of being in corporate America for so long and start this business in the health and wellness space. And my self-doubt was at an all-time high. The lie I kept telling myself is like, who the hell are you? Like, why would people listen to you? Like, you failed at your marriage, right? Like, you are unhappy in your career. You basically hate yourself. So like, why would anybody listen to you, right? Or why would anybody why would anybody want to date you? Like, you're damaged goods. You're old. You've had 2 kids. Like, all the men want is like younger women, right? These are all the lies that I told myself. And it was all because it was fueled by self-doubt. And so I want to, like I said, I want to share all of these. I want to share a few of the tips and the tricks that I have used for myself, some of the strategies that I've used for myself and with myself and overcoming self-doubt. But before I do that really quickly, I want to just quickly share, before I forget, I want to share with you something really exciting that I announced on social media just a few weeks ago. So I have put together a quick interest list, a very simple interest list for a brand new program that I have coming out very, very soon. And this program is specifically for women over 35 who are either in the middle of a divorce or who are post-divorce and are really looking to heal, who are really looking to move forward with their life and honestly create a life they never imagined possible. There's no obligation to be on this interest list, but you want to get on the interest list because everyone on there is going to be first to access all the details about it. I am limiting spots in this program. And also I'm going to be giving some special bonuses and also primer education that nobody else is getting just by being on the list. So you want to head over to products.ambershaw.com/signature-waitlist. Yes, that's a mouthful. So just go to the show notes, grab it there, add your name to the interest list. Okay, so let's get back to overcoming self-doubt. And what I'll also say is actually overcoming self-doubt is also going to be a part of this new program, along with so much more. So head over and add yourself to the list. So I want to just start by really talking about, if we're going to talk about overcoming self-doubt and really how to do that, we have to first start by talking about really what are some of these triggers that can that can really trigger us into having when we start to doubt ourselves, right? And as we enter in midlife, and I kind of mentioned a little bit of them earlier, which I definitely think a lot of like cultural and like society pressures, right? I think on women over the age of 35, women in midlife, I think that pressure for us to be a certain way, for us to look a certain way, for us to, have certain things accomplished, right? I think that it is an incredible amount of pressure. And, things like social media don't make it any easier. I also think that, just based on our subconscious programming for so many of us, based on previous relationships or, things that happened in our childhood, just different events or different, things that we've gone through, those also can have a just kind of a more innate. So I think for so many of us, the triggers really can be from cultural, right? Like the cultural expectations. I think especially for women, we're expected to look a certain way as we age and be a certain way, and have accomplished certain things by a certain age. And it's a whole hell of a lot of pressure. And if you aren't there, if you don't, have the job or have the second beach house or the cars or look a certain way or whatever that looks like for you, then you can really start to doubt yourself. I also think that for so many of us, it stems from our subconscious programming, experiences that we had when we were children, from past relationships. And plays a huge, huge role. In fact, we know that our subconscious programming drives about 80 to 90% of the way that we show up in the world. And so even if your conscious brain wants to be confident, right? Wants to be in your power. If like subconsciously, you don't really believe that you're worthy, or you don't really believe that you can do something, then ultimately that's what's going to drive your actions, right? So I think that that's a huge part of the trigger behind having self-doubt. I know for so many of us, the way that self-doubt can manifest is showing up as procrastination, right? If we're unsure of ourselves, if we doubt ourselves, then we just put it off. Right? I know avoidance is a big one too, just kind of, brushing it off, avoiding it, whatever the thing is. It could be fear of failure is another way that self-doubt shows up. Imposter syndrome, which I spoke about as well. I mean, that one for me, honestly, and I think if creators were getting honest, or coaches, or people even on the online space, I think we're really honest about it. I think that most have imposter syndrome. It's because it's like there's always somebody, and this is really just in life, even not even like course creators or coaches or whatever. I think this is just with everybody. Like there's always somebody like who's in front of you, right? And as you're trying to elevate and grow, I think that imposter syndrome is actually a sign that you are elevating and growing. It's a sign that you're getting uncomfortable to some degree, right? Because I think for me, the way imposter syndrome shows up is that as I'm trying to like take something to the next level, right? Or if I'm trying to do something that's out of my comfort zone, well, my immediate defense mechanism, or like my immediate thing that comes up is like a fear, like, oh my gosh, like who am I? Who's going to take me seriously? Or why should I be teaching that? Or why should I be talking about that? And it's really just my ego trying to protect me, right? But if I can work through that, if I can acknowledge it, and I've got to that point now where I do acknowledge that when imposter syndrome shows up for me, and that voice, that talk track shows up and says, who are you to do this? Why would anybody listen to you? I'm able now, because of the tools and the work that I've done on myself, I'm able now to really just recognize that thought and detach the emotion from it, and really just recognize that as a sign that I am going to the next level, that I am growing, right? Because I am getting uncomfortable. And for me, when I get uncomfortable, a form of self-doubt shows up as imposter syndrome. So I no longer freak out when I've got that imposter syndrome. In fact, I embrace it. I'm like, okay, looks like you're leveling up, girl. Looks like you're taking it to the next level, right? So that's definitely one, is imposter syndrome. Another one is negative self-talk. We all know, like when we're doubting ourselves, we're not feeling confident, we a lot of times engage in that negative talk track, right? A lot of times it can look like indecisiveness or perfectionism. That's another thing I think that flies under the radar. I always say I'm like a not recovered, because I'm always working on it. I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so much of, I think, why I can stay stuck in that perfectionist cycle is because really I'm doubting myself. And if I just really had the confidence that I can do whatever I'm doing, or take that leap, or whatever that looks like, and not worry about it being perfect, that for me is a huge piece of it, is perfectionism. And so I would really want to first invite you, if you are somebody that maybe struggles with self-doubt, or maybe you don't know that you're struggling with self-doubt, just look at, like, is it showing up for you in any of these ways? Are you struggling with perfectionism or procrastination, fear of failure, imposter syndrome, and really look at the reason why. But what I really want you to hear today as you are listening to this, especially somebody, because I know most of the women listening to this podcast are in midlife, is that, listen, you know more than you think you do. And you have so much life experience, and you have so much wisdom, and you have so much knowledge, that self-doubt is really just a sign of your growth. And I want to invite you just to lean into it, just to lean into that self-doubt, but not let it take you down, not let it sabotage your efforts. I really want you to look at your self-doubt and be aware of it, but detach the emotion from it and not succumb to it. And so I want to share with you, there's been a couple things that I like to do when self-doubt starts to show up for me that I really lean into. And if you follow me over on Instagram, then you've probably seen me refer to this in my post, but I talk a lot and I refer a lot to my 25-year-old self. Now, for me, that 25-year-old self represents a time in my life that I felt very much in my power, that I was very confident. I was, young. I was, being young didn't have anything to do with it, but the young piece of it was more so that I was very successful at a young age. So that gave me a lot of confidence, right? At 25, I didn't give a fuck what anybody thought, right? I was just living my life. Now, if you ask me now at 45, like, do I want to go back to 25? No, I'm grateful for all the lessons that I've learned and where I'm at 45. But what I do value so damn much is that power persona that my 25-year-old self had. And so a big tool for me in overcoming self-doubt is adopting a power persona. And so I want you, and this could be a great tool for you too, I really want you to spend some time thinking about when was a time in your life when you were in your power, you were your most, confident and just really your most aligned self. When was that time in your life? And I want you in those moments of self-doubt, I want you to channel her. I've shared this story so many times. One of the biggest, kind of big turning points in me when I was going through my divorce was when I really channeled my 25-year-old self. And this was really for me. I had a moment, like a kind of an awakening moment, was like when I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, who the fuck are you? Who are you? Right? I was in this where I really was going through this very tumultuous time in my relationship. I really felt like I lost myself. And I really tapped into that power persona that was my 25-year-old self. And now she's become such a symbol for me, right? She's become she's still here. She's always been here in me. Even when I was going through all of that hell, she was always inside. I just had to find her again. So if you are somebody that struggles with doubt, what's your power persona? When's a time in your life that you can recall or you can remember when you were your most confident self? And really give her a name, give her, just imagine her, whatever that looks like for you, but tap into her. It's super, super powerful. Another thing that I like to do is a form of visualization technique, right? And this is really just very simple as like mentally rehearsing outcomes. So anytime that I start to have self-doubt, I like to really just close my eyes and really just imagine myself either giving the talk, putting on the workshop, recording the podcast, doing the hard interview, having that hard coaching call, having the hard conversation with my ex, having the hard conversation with my kid, whatever that looks like. And I like to just in that moment when I start to feel that self-doubt start to bubble up. And for me, it's I feel it in my body when I can start to feel that come up, right? Then I just like to simply close my eyes and take a breath and just spend a few minutes just imagining myself doing the thing and doing it damn well. And don't underestimate the power of that visualization, because once your body feels it, it's like your brain already thinks it's happened. Right. And so and this is how you start to create new neural pathways, right? Because once you start to, when you're doing that visualization, it's not just about visualizing you actually doing the damn thing, right? And doing it with grace and presence and confidence and badassery. It's not really a word, but I'm bringing it back, or I'm bringing it in. I like badassery. But it really is about not just visualizing it, but tapping into the feeling that you have. That feeling. And so when you start to have that self-doubt, because you've already felt what it feels like in your body to be confident, to show up for yourself, then when you start to have that feeling of self-doubt, you're able very quickly, and you get faster at this, the more you practice, the more neural pathways that you recreate, right? That you create, and you are able to switch over to that feeling of what it feels like in your body, right? Maybe it's a tingling of your hands. Maybe it's a fluttering of your heart, right? Like or maybe it's it's just a warming of the face, like wherever it shows up in your body when you are in that power moment, that moment of confidence where you don't have self-doubt, right? That right there, I really want you to tap into that feeling and feel how that feels in your body, and practice that. This is a practice. So this is why visualization for overcoming self-doubt is so damn powerful. Now, the last thing I want to share is, and this is the last technique, is all about mirror work. Ooh, I love mirror work so much because it's such a portable healing modality that you really can do anywhere. And it's so, so powerful. And so Louise Hay, if you're not familiar with Louise Hay, she is really kind of the pioneer of mirror work. She's one of the ones that really made it really well known in the transformational space. And so you could definitely just Google mirror work Louise Hay. There's so many resources that are super helpful with that. But really, it just is very simple as spending some time looking in the mirror, right, in a quiet space, just a few minutes of just looking in the mirror and looking into your eyes and seeing what comes up and just being able to be in that moment, but without judgment. And I got to tell you, if you've never done mirror work before, what usually ends up happening is the first maybe 30 seconds of it or the first minute of it, you are, you're staring in the mirror, looking at your eyes, looking into your own eyes. And immediately what you want to do is you want to start picking apart your face. I'm just warning you, this is what we do as women. We start looking at this wrinkle and, oh my God, I need Botox here. And oh my gosh, I've got crow's feet and and when did that pop up and blah, blah, blah. But if you could just stay, that will pass. If you could just observe that and let it go, almost like a meditation, just let that go. And then just allow yourself a few minutes to just be. And I always love to have a positive affirmation, right? Something positive, something kind, something loving that I say to myself, I am worthy. I am capable. And again, allowing yourself to feel in your body what it feels like to say the words, I am capable, I am worthy. And it's that repetition while also at the same time, acknowledging how it feels in your body. And again, that's what creates those new neural pathways. That is what allows us to let go of the self-doubt. That is what allows us to tap into that deep subconscious programming and rewire our brain so we can start to work through self-doubt. So I hope that these 3 things were helpful for you guys. And remember, this is, I want you to know that, to have self-doubt is to be human. Right? We all have self-doubt. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are, what you do, how much money you make, how good you look. I don't care about any of that. We all have self-doubt because we are human. But, as I always say, the key to really, ascending and really growing and really healing and really moving forward in our lives is all about being able to acknowledge these feelings and having the tools to be able to move through them. And that is my hope for these tools that my hope for you with these tools that I shared today. So as we wrap up, listen, if you can relate to this, right? Relate to anything that I spoke about today and you're really struggling with self-doubt, then I got to tell you, you absolutely need to access my free 5-day mini course. I've got a free 5-day mini course. It's called Crush Life Boot Camp. And this is all about really igniting the change that you need in your life to really step into your power as a midlife woman. So you can get all the details about this free 5-day mini course by going to products.ambershaw.com/crush life, or just head to the link in the show notes and grab it there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next one.